Tot ce au făcut în pandemie a fost să ne încerce, a fost o repetiție pentru Digital ID.
Here's the thing about the biometric entry-exit wall. This is something that is not just happening in the US. It is being rolled out and promoted in lockstep throughout the entire Western world. The European Union is implementing it starting this year. The UK is poised to do it in 2025. And it is essentially part of this broader agenda to impose digital identity or digital ID on people. And digital ID is something that a lot of people in Trump's base and people that were dissenters during the COVID era were very opposed to, because this was, vaccine passports were fundamentally the trial run for a global interoperable digital ID style system. And that's essentially what these entry exit systems will be. And it's not something that's just they're trying to do on the physical terrestrial borders of the US. All ports of entry, including airports, are going to have this, or they're hoping to impose this on people. This new paradigm for identification for travel. And obviously, as was reported during, the COVID era with the vaccine passports, the goal is not just surveillance, but restricting people's freedom of movement on, in the case of vaccines, whether or not you've been vaccinated. But that, of course, opens the door to anything, potentially even, your social media posts or your online activity, your travel should be restricted, or from the net zero carbon market side of things, if you've spent too much, you've traveled too much this year and your carbon footprint's too big, your travel's being restricted and all of that. All of that functionality is currently being marketed to the exact segment of the population that was against it during COVID, and they're trying to frame it with rhetoric and with crises where they think they'll consent to this system, because obviously the digital ID system only works if there's mass compliance.
Mai mult.
These people have invested so much money on finding every excuse they can to try and get us, in the case of digital ID, get us to voluntarily want to adopt it. And we have to focus on the fact that if digital ID does not succeed and people do not comply, it will fail. I mean, it is the cornerstone of the entire UN Agenda 2030. Without it, the programmable surveillable money won't work. A lot of their designs for what they want to do in the online virtual world will not work. And so much of it will not work if we do not comply with digital ID, and they're trying to force it on us as a voluntary thing, sort of in the same way that vaccine passports were voluntary, which is why I encourage people, if you want to change the direction the world is going, you need to figure out how you are going to set up your life so you don't have to comply with digital ID the same way, maybe if you were forced to comply with vaccine mandates and vaccine passports, how will you get around those type of restrictions when they try and impose, digital ID on people for various reasons? As I said earlier, before it was about, the vaccine and all of that. Now in the U.S., conservatives mainly are being pitched as this is a solution to illegal migration. This is a solution to voter fraud and all of this stuff. There's efforts to frame biometric digital ID as essential to solving cybercrime and hacking and cyberbullying and any other essentially any ill of society. They're just going to say digital ID is going to be the solution to that. And they're sales pitches. But ultimately, if the digital ID is essential to the whole idea of the social credit score and any of these other, Orwellian designs that, at least enough people, I hope, know by now, is part and parcel of this agenda. And I think, again, it comes up to people having to make a choice. And the way they do this is through, they try and get us to comply with this is through convenience. It's convenience to opt in. It's convenient to have a digital ID. It's convenient to have, money on your phone and have your whole life be based on your smartphone and all of this. It's convenient to vote once every 4 years for one of the two lesser evils in all of this. But really, it's the convenience that they're using to enslave us. And it's inconvenient to find ways to opt out of these systems and change your life so that you're more resilient and your life is actually sustainable for you and your family and your community. It's perhaps inconvenient to get out off of the couch and off of the chair and go meet your neighbors physically and stop being on the online world so much. and making real human connections and real human solutions to the problems we're facing. Because, I mean, again, that's why during COVID, the lockdowns, I think, were a big part of it, to keep people isolated, to keep people from connecting and force people to feel like they could only connect with others through this virtual world that these people control, because they control the infrastructure, the software, and the platforms. So I think, people need to consider that this convenience is really the carrot. Maybe there will be a stick at some point, but they seem to be focused a lot on the carrot and the idea of having us voluntarily adopt these things because it's easy, the way they're setting things up, or it will be easy. Or they'll frame it that way at least. But I think it's very important for people to realize that they have the power. Otherwise, they wouldn't be investing all this money to manipulate us and pitch us on this. And we should take the power back as people. And we do that by taking actions in our own lives and doing things in our neighborhoods and our communities and with our families. And realizing that this is not where we want to go at the end of the day. And there is so much we can do. And I think a good starting point, again, is to say no to digital ID. We don't need this biometric digital ID surveillance state that's going to be used not just to surveil what we're doing in real time, but also to predict what we might do in the future. A lot of these plans on the books and things that are being developed by these intelligence agencies are all about predictive policing, meaning pre-crime, and also applying that same methodology to healthcare. Prevent the next pandemic before it happens and all of this stuff. So you don't even need to declare a pandemic anymore to get emergency youth authorization or mandates in particular communities and stuff like that. That is the world they are setting up. It is very bad, and we should opt out, and we can opt out.
Întrebarea e, când va veni vremea, câți dintre voi veți fi haiduci nesupuși?